So Daniil Medvedev and Tommy Powell, they're facing off in the second round of Roland Garros. Now, Medvedev, for the first time in some time, he actually looked comfortable on the clay. He managed to beat Bublik in straight sets, 6-3, 6-3, 7-5. And I thought Bublik would win that. But Medvedev, for the first time, actually seemed that, hey, he's actually comfortable on the clay. He's actually moving well on it. And he does have a Monte Carlo semi to his name, so he's going to be confident that maybe he has a chance here. Now, Tommy Powell also had a good win. He should have won that match in straight sets, obviously. He should have won that match in straight sets, but he needed 5 sets for it. But he managed to win it 6-2, 6-4, 4-6, 4-6. He won it 10-8 in the 5th, but he kind of spent a little bit longer than he should have winning that match. He didn't need to spend that long, but he'll be confident since Medvedev isn't great on the clay. Maybe he can spring an upset. Now, these two players, they have never met before, so they have a 0-0 head-to-head. So I think that Medvedev will win this in straight sets. I think it will be 4 sets, because Medvedev isn't so great on the clay, and Tommy Paul can definitely give a test, but I think that Paul just played a 5-setter that he should have won in straight sets, and that's like an hour more that he could have used to conserve his energy. He now used it to play a 5-set match, which was a little bit... He didn't need to do that. He should have just saved himself. So I think that Medvedev will win it in 4 sets, because Paul will be too tired to really give him a fight. I think he'll take a set, but no more than that. Medvedev in 4 sets, my prediction. So Mcdonald and Garen, they're facing off in the in the second round of Roland Garros. Now, Mckenzie Mcdonald, he was once considered a future star, but now he's had some injuries that set him back in 2019, but he is slowly returning back to his best form, and he is showing some signs of it. He reached the 4th round in the Australian Open this year, so impressive from him. He also came through qualifying in this event, and he's had some impressive wins. In qualifying, he did not drop a set at all, and did not lose more than 4 games per set. He actually won 5 of his sets. He won them 6-4, so he's really showing some good form. And he also had a good win in the first round. He beat Rusevori in 4 sets, so he's showing some signs of returning to his best form back in 2018. And if not for the pandemic, he would be ranked somewhere just below. He'd be ranked like just below the top 50. He'd be ranked in the top 60 if not for the pandemic. So he is really playing well, and he is in one of his best forms in a while. Now, his opponent is really great on the clay. In fact, he actually won a title on the clay court, so it shows that he is really good on the clay. And he wasn't at his brilliant best against Londero, but he found a way to win it in 4 sets. And he'll be confident because with a relatively open draw, he will have a chance of maybe making his career best at Roland Garros. So he's going to be confident in that because his draw is relatively open. He has a relatively good chance to make his best. Now, Garen and Mcdonald, I think that they've met before, and they have a 1-0 head-to-head, I think. They've never met before. So they have a 0-0 head-to-head, sorry. Now, my prediction, I think that Garen wins this one in straight sets. I think it's 4 sets because Mcdonald is just not at his level yet. I think that, Mcdonald played really well. And he has been playing really well in this event. He came through qualifying, played really well. But I think Garen gets the win because he's just more accomplished on the clay courts. So I'm going to pick Garen to win this one in 4 sets. Mcdonald can test him, but 4 sets seems the probability. So it's Thiago Monteiro and Steve Johnson. They're facing off in the second round of Roland Garros. Now, Monteiro wasn't really in great form so far. He actually wasn't in good form because he had lost early at a lot of clay court events, and clay is really considered his best surface. He started the year off really well, surprisingly on the faster hard courts. He went to semis of the tune-up event in Adelaide. It was the Great Ocean Road Open, and then in the Australian Open, he pushed Rublev in those 3 sets. He almost won the 3rd set, so he was playing really well at the start, but he didn't do as well in all the other events. So We're gonna see whether he can bounce back here. He has shown some good signs of form. He took a set of the opponents who's been in great form as well. And he had a good win over Cerundolo as well. The lucky loser, he beat him in straight sets. So he's going to be hoping to replicate that good form like he saw at the beginning of the year on the clay courts in the Roland Garros. His opponent actually hasn't really been in good form either. Steve Johnson, he's not really regarded as much of a clay courter, but he did do well again in his first round against TFL. He beat him in 5 sets, and he had to come back from 2 sets down, but he staged the comeback for the ages and defeated him in 5 sets. So that was impressive from Steve Johnson, because clay is not really his best serve, but he was still able to come back. So that's a good, encouraging sign for him, and you'll see. And if he can get past Montero, he also can reach third round as well, which will be a deep run at a place he hasn't really had much success at. Now, they're head-to-head. They've never met before, so they have a 0-0 head-to-head. So my prediction, I think that Montero wins. I think that while Johnson is playing well, I think that Montero is just the better clay courter. He's best on the clay court, and I think that Montero gets the win because he really had a good win over Cerundolo, while Johnson had to go 5 sets. And Johnson may also be tired from that marathon. So Montero in 4 sets seems like a reasonable prediction, I think. So Carreño Busta and his opponent, they're facing off in the second round of the Roland Garros. Now, Carreño Busta this year was injured. He had to withdraw, so he didn't get to do a lot of the hardcourt season, but he did do well in the Andalusia. Won a clay court title there. And he's not as good on the clay as other Spaniards, but he has had some good, decent results this year. He made the round 16 in Monte Carlo. He made the semifinals of Barcelona. So he is having a decent year on the clay courts, and he'll be happy, and he'll be considering maybe it's possible that he can have a deep run here, especially with a little bit of a open draw. He may be able to reach the 4th round. And in his first match, he played really well against Norbergombo. She beat him in straight sets, so that's a good sign for him for the future. And we'll see if he can beat his opponent. Now, his French opponent, Cocoud, he beat Gerasimov in straight sets, and it was a good win for him. He took advantage of Gerasimov's clay struggles, and he beat him in straight sets, and he'll be hoping to maybe do something against Carreño Busta. Maybe the French crowd can spur him to get a set. We'll see what's going to happen in the long run. Now, these two players, unsurprisingly, they have never met before. So they have a 0-0 head-to-head. So I think that Carreño Busta will win this in straight sets. I think that his opponent really just got his first main draw win. Like, Carreño Busta's opponent only got his first main draw win. He hasn't won a match at the Grand Slam before this. This was the first time he did. So I don't expect him to beat Carreño Busta just because Carreño Busta is way more experienced. And he had a relatively easy win against Norbergombo. Maybe the French crowd can push him to keep one of the sets close, maybe. But really, it should be an easy win for Carreño Busta. Carreño Busta should win this. I expect this to be done in straight sets.